Hey everyone, welcome back. It is Icon. Thank you so much for checking out another episode of Esports Analysis. Today, we are on board with the main slayer, Dylan "ENVOY" Hannon, as he and the Chicago Huntsmen go to battle against OpTic Gaming LA. And this one was a doozy. So the first scrim of the day for Chicago was against Seattle's new roster, and that went fairly well for them. And then they decided to get another scrim against OGLA. They played this map, and that was it. After this, OGLA backed out. Not quite sure if it was connection-based or what the issue was, but it was definitely not pretty at all whatsoever. So, without further ado, I've been doing this the last week or so where I go ahead, I let you guys listen into the conversation, and then where I feel there's an important break or something like that, then I go ahead, pause the video, and break it down from there. So, without further ado, let's listen in to the team comms, and I will stop it where I feel there's something important to say. Let's go ahead and listen in.
Come on now. Come on now. Blame that guy?
Yo, milk truck, milk truck.
Yeah, there's a guy going green.
Nice.
Their door, I think. Their door laid down.
New, flash.
Another one, Ken. Ken's on milk. Jump. Fire spawns, hit right. Hit right.
I'm blocking fire.
Austin, Austin's the one down. What's pushing up steps?
He flipped. You want cop car. Tires.
Holding right.
One time.
All right, so to start here early, let's go ahead. Let's bring up our mini map. I want to make sure that we're pointing this out because you heard ENVOY a couple times right there call out fire spawn. So he pushed through middle. He jumped over this wall. And as soon as he did that, he picked up that OpTic was spawning back here in this back left-hand corner, top side of P2, which they're calling or is called fire spawn. So as they come up off of spawn, ENVOY is telling them to push right, because as soon as you can push right and get control of this back corner, then once you get inside the hill and you get hill control, then all of a sudden OpTic Game is going to start spawning out over towards P4, and now you can work the cross, right? As they try to get back towards P2, you can get kills in that area right here, right in this area, and you can stop them from getting back to P2. Now, one thing that I'll say real quick, as soon as he called out fire spawns, that's important, right? Because first of all, Chicago was getting this spawn as they were approaching P1, which means that OpTic normally on a perfect P2 hold is getting this spawn right here. So they obviously have an easier way to get into P1, but then they have to flood out and make sure that they're covering all of these lanes also. But as soon as Chicago, after P1, got pushed up down towards this bottom side of the map, that forced OpTic to be spawning on the top side of the map. And as soon as that happened, ENVOY basically relayed to his team that if you just push right or the bottom part of P2, then you can go ahead, get inside, and overtake P2, right? That's the first step. You get them spawning on the top side of the map, that frees up the bottom side of the map. Once you get the bottom side, then you can go ahead, break into P2, and try to overtake the hard point from there. Let's go ahead, get back into the game.
Oh, I got spawned in.
Bro, we're getting fucking nasty at that, bro.
Yo, two left. I'm milk, two milk. Another one milk.
Help left,
Gas got me left.
Gas flasher.
Oh my gosh.
My bad.
Man, we spawned out.
Yeah, I'm just playing.
I spawned out first.
Oh my god, I'm tired.
Two tires.
Nice one, douche!
I'm going first.
Middle dead. I killed AC.
And garage flasher.
Oh, he could be out green. Yeah, he's out green. Ken.
I got top. That
I'm
Another one
holding
here.
door.
Top dead.
Yeah,
Another one low.
Bottom right back.
Bottom dead.
Nice. He could be at
Mid
on the wall.
I spawned first.
Someone's gotta get time.
Hold that. Grab time on spawn.
I get it in a second.
Actually,
We should get somebody mid too.
middle. Yeah. Okay, I was gonna try to go mid.
You wanna go first door right now. Kenny first door.
Mid map right now. I'm gonna push out your mid. You can go mid L. Look mid L,
Try to
please.
get middle, yeah.
Bruce is
First
first.
spawns.
Bruce is one shot.
Top middle.
Bruce is going in
AC
first.
dead.
Last guy in first. He's weak.
First,
I'm getting bottom.
Top AC to middle. He's mid L.
I got it.
They spawned out.
Green pillar.
I'm in
Yeah,
first.
deep spawns.
What's top AC dead?
Try to
What's
push
up, green? Green.
Top
Bottom green.
Cheat top up.
Top L got me.
Sorry.
Chino.
Top
Green on you.
dead.
Bottom green.
Top green
I don't
teach.
see bottom green.
Oh, he's top green.
Dax dead.
Top green team, top green.
He's on half wall, Kenny, or Kenny's going hopping over green wall.
Dead.
He's on
Top
top
green
wall.
pillars.
One right above you.
pillars.
I'm hitting mid.
Bottom mid, bottom mid.
Go
Crate,
first,
crate.
go first.
I'm looking at crates. I don't see mid crates.
So let's go ahead. Let's pause this right here. Let's just have a little bit of a conversation because this is really an incredible hold here on P3 from Chicago. You don't ever see stuff like this. So as they took over P3, you saw ENVOY spawn a couple times back here by P5, which is the beneficial spawn. Whether it's above P5 or bottom P5, either of those are okay because you want to hold those back spawns for P5. But what you're noticing is that you saw multiple kills here inside P4. You also saw multiple kills as they pushed out inside P1, and ENVOY even killed a couple from mid-map that were like top AC above P1. But the importance of this is that while they're getting time inside of P3, they're getting kills in this area of the map. So not only does it make it basically an uncontested hardpoint inside of P3, but that also continues OpTic to spawn out over here completely on the other side of the map most of the time. And that's why I didn't really like this play. Once OpTic left P2, you saw 2 or 3 different people try to push out green, right? Because essentially they're trying to push it out, get behind flank, get those P5 spawns, and then now they can approach P3 from the backside. And that's why you see a lot of pro teams instead go ahead and elect to push out through P1, because once you get out P1, then it's just a short distance. You can counter whatever's inside the hill, or you can push out and get these back yellow spawns for P5. So I don't really love the fact that they tried to push out the beginning of P3 on the top side of the map, because as soon as you do that, if you go down, now you have those top spawns. And essentially, if you're just pushing that top side of the map, then that gives Chicago area to push up here and just gain all of this map control. So you die up by P4, you give up all the map control on the bottom, now you're stuck all the way on the right hand side of the map.
I'm here, Seth. Good.
I want to bug you, man.
I'm playing close.
Their door.
Stay down, just stay down.
I'm gonna get the AC hop.
Both weak.
I'm hopping in front
Near their
of
door.
I got one, another one here. I'm staying up.
Yo, front of us.
Both.
You go tools, go tools, go tools, Alec.
Spawning warehouse.
2 tools. Got one.
They got me.
Warehouse.
Tools done.
Nice, good job. You can push back out.
Flip.
TJ, one touch.
We're pushed all the way out, bro.
Someone come
Push
grab
out low
time.
right.
He can be top green, guys. He can be top green.
I'm holding low right.
Blood,
holding
go
low
top green. Go top
We
green.
gotta get top
One
green.
mid. Dash is middle.
Seth, I'm helping you.
Dash is dead.
Tools,
He's
graffiti.
graffiti. Yeah, good job.
Two press.
First spawns, first spawns, guys. First spawns.
I'm looking in.
Give me one here, probably.
Up at you,
Yo, Seth's on a tear. Oh my god.
Go.
Seth's on mute.
Wow, Scump going in right there. Nice 3-piece.
Nice stuff. Bottom L. Kenny weak.
All first, guys. All first.
Up at you, Dash. Hitting out right.
Someone want to come help hold?
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
Bottom L, top AC.
Looking bottom L.
He's
Bottom
here,
L,
Alec?
left side, dead.
Another one top L.
I'm pushing him.
Yeah, he's hurt.
Top L.
Spawn
Jump.
slant.
So I don't necessarily want to continue to stop this too much, but there are things that I feel like are super important. There for a moment, as we're inside P4, Chicago pushed up, and they just kind of lost track of who was behind them. As that was happening, OpTic was able to flip spawns, and they got this back yellow spawn. As they got that back yellow spawn, obviously they tried to flood up towards P4, and that's where Scump got all of these kills, right? He was located in tools right here, and he just got all of those kills, that 3-piece, that 4-piece right here, as OpTic was trying to flood inside of P4. The thing about this map is that if you can just get one team kill like they did, right when I said that's a nasty 3-piece from Scump, as soon as that happened, that immediately sent Chicago out towards that back spawn, so they can just push out over the top side of the map. You saw all the green arrows pushing P5, and as soon as that happens, that immediately sends OpTic over here towards P1, flips the map, and now with 12 seconds left in the current hardpoint, they already have spawns for P5, and they're already up by about 90 points, and it's probably just going to get worse from here.
Top L.
Top L's not peeking, one bottom L, I think.
Oh,
Top
Top
L,
L, right side. One shot, top L, right side.
I naded in front of you, Seth. My bad. Oh, you're good.
I'm out of ammo. I'm out of ammo.
Hitting right,
Hey,
hitting right.
do you want to grab time?
I'm going top right.
Okay, I have time.
You're good. You can come up here.
Top 3, top 3, Kenny dead.
I'm going top as well.
Right, right.
Oh, shit, grab time.
Get time.
You give me a little left.
I'm trying to
I'm
get
out of ammo.
We're helping.
Oh, I'm getting shot.
All right.
Green wall dead.
All right, then.
Close trailer, unless you
I killed trailer.
Spawning
Top L.
heat now.
Tools
Top
on
L dead.
Kenny.
Bottom L. No, that's
Those are
I'm looking
insane
graffiti.
kills right there from ENVOY.
Watching your
Who's
little
spawned
left,
down?
P3,
What's
dead.
top L? What's top
Watch
L?
my low. You have my low.
Close right,
Heavy
close
low,
right,
heavy
close
low,
right.
heavy low.
We can't push you.
Right, right,
Get
right.
smoke. Kenny,
Nice.
One left,
That's point green, that's point green.
I'm
TJ,
top
got me
L.
trailer.
Trailer.
Trailer, TJ. 100% trailer already.
First guy, I'm flanking him at.
Yeah. I'm getting
Flash
out.
one in the first, flash in first.
Jump at.
One top L, middle L.
I was
Yeah.
I don't see anything old. Top L, top L.
Top out leak.
Nice.
One green, one green.
Mid L, mid L again, mid L again.
L dead.
Chains beat on, but sitting close corner. One's going top right crate. There's 2 inside for sure.
Yeah, let's work L, guys. Let's wrap back. Let's wrap back.
Top AC, top AC dead.
An 8 AC.
Top L dead.
Good job. I'm gonna go AC off. I'm going AC off.
Fork weak.
Mid map 2. Mid map,
You got me
absolute.
4. Yeah.
Top L, 2 top L, 2 top L.
My bad.
Actually, AC and top L, AC.
Trying to
Top L now, top
See
L.
anything, top L.
Top out peeking.
Just
Kenny,
be careful,
right,
careful.
right,
Yeah,
right,
green
Oh,
got
yeah,
me.
kill me.
I'm dead.
Careful,
In
Dash.
time and top cat.
Get mid L. I'm pushing mid L.
I got it. You're good.
I got him.
Good trade.
There's another one in middle probably. He's mid stacks.
Go top scaff, top scaff.
We're smoking
Scaff
it.
slasher.
Top AC and top cap.
Another one tired.
Dead. There's 3
All
playing.
good, all good, all good.
Just one low.
I got one mid.
Good job.
One
I'm just holding middle.
King,
I got another one mid.
He's on their white barrel.
They're barrel slasher.
I'm in.
They were trophies.
Their door, their door. To their door, to their door. Another one in. Another one.
One shot, cheat challenge against
Yeah, dead.
I'm getting mid L.
One shot.
Near their door. I have mid L.
I'm gonna go green on phone. Going green.
More scav.
AC dead.
Nice,
Job.
nice.
Gas.
All right, guys, I'm just going to pause this and point this out real quick. At the end of the first set of rotations, Chicago had 190 points. That is basically unheard of, especially against all of these top tier, this top talent in the entire world, these competitive rosters. If you can end the first set of rotations, so the first 5 hard points, in like the 125 to 135 range, then you've started the match really well. You have a great chance to go on and win that map. If you start 190, I think it was like 190 to 40 when the first set of rotations ended, again, that's just insane. I just wanted to make sure that we took a minute and pointed that out because that never happens, right? And the crazy thing is that they got their time not on P2. If you were to say a team is going to get 190 points on Hackney Yard, you're probably just going to take for granted that they got control of P2 and they were really great. They excelled on P2, and that's not what happened. They got a ton of their points on P3, which is always pretty contested, P4, which is also pretty contested, and they got all 60 points on P5. So just wanted to make sure that we were pointing out all of the dominance there on the latter half of the first set of rotations by Chicago.
Top P2.
Top stacks, guys.
I got a flash up the door.
Middle dead. Their door.
TJ hitting the door.
One shot their door. There's two.
I left everyone.
Good job, Alex.
Soaking this shit.
He's cop car.
We did not flip. Alex, just play your life.
Yeah.
And cop car.
One's on half wall.
First and cop.
I spawned green.
Stacks one shot.
We're spawning L.
Nice.
I can
In first.
Kenny stacks.
Top hill dead.
Mid stacks.
What's that?
Nice shit.
Got 3 on me.
Tire spawns.
No one's fire.
Another one on me.
One more.
Good shit, Alex.
Wow. Okay. All right. We have to stop that right there because this entire process was solely having to do with Arcitys. That is one of the best plays you're going to see. So as everything was happening, right, there was a ton of contested gun battles right here in this area. As that was happening, Arcitys was able to get through here over towards fire spawns. And as soon as P2 popped, he went up these stairs. He was able to get kills inside of P2. Now, as that was happening, ENVOY spawned out. So they still hadn't flipped, right? ENVOY was spawning over here, which ensued him, which is why he ran through P1 and then pushed out over towards tires. But that just told his team that they still weren't getting those back spawns. And then as that happened, we just saw Arcitys pop out on the roof here and get 2 more kills down here and then get back inside of P2. That entire takeover right there was 100% all because of Arcitys. Nobody helped him. It's not like there was somebody else back there putting bullets on people. They knew where Arcitys was, and they just couldn't kill him. That was a really awesome play to see.
First, guys. First.
You guys don't play, bro.
First me out.
Yeah.
Kenny.
Was it Austin? I
Oh,
thought
oh, shit. I got time.
Mid.
we're
Kenny
going
go in the door. Kenny go in the door.
Right, who-
He's out. Cop car.
Fire.
Bottom hill.
He's going
Front
front hill. He's bottom. Kenny's in hill.
Ken dead.
Actually, I'm looking first. Gas, slasher. Jumped on milk truck shot.
On fire.
Milk,
Yeah,
honey.
Milk truck.
Yeah, I'm just saying the crowd would have went crazy if they saw that.
Yeah.
And with that, You end up with a 250 to 78 victory on Hackney Yard. Again, this is the only map that they ended up playing. I really wish Arcitys spree at the end right there would have been the play of the game, because that was absolutely insane. And I'll just say that this is part of the reason why some people struggle a little bit to give OGLA the credit that they're probably earning over the last few events, because every once in a while they'll come out and they'll lay an egg like this. Now, does connection have something to do with it? I don't know, right? Because the CDL and Infinity Ward has given them these private lobbies with 60 hertz refresh rate and all of that stuff. So I don't know how much you can blame or how much you can contribute a bad performance to connection anymore, just because they are these private lobbies, dedicated servers, 60 hertz tick rate. I mean, I don't know. It is what it is. Who am I to say? But it just doesn't seem like it's going that way. But if we're looking at the scoreboard here, Formal had the most score, as he normally does. He was +8, Arcitys +5, ENVOY +6, Scump +10, Pristini +8. Everybody positive by a fairly large margin across the board for Chicago. You look down below, Dashy had a good map. He was 26 and 22. And the rest of OGLA just didn't really show up, right? In fact, TJ was like triple negative almost. He was 10 and 26. So who knows? Maybe it's a bad day. I mean, I don't know, but that is quite the beat down there. So if you're new around here, thank you guys so much for the support recently. My channel's numbers have been doing really well, and I thank you guys for that. I really appreciate it. If you enjoy this sort of content, I break down the Call of Duty League competitive gameplay every single day, so make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications. Any comments whatsoever, leave them down below. I love going through, replying to you guys, reading the comments, and all of that, so make sure you leave a comment. Leave a like before you head on the way. It really helps out the channel with that, guys. Thank you so much. I will catch you in tomorrow's upload.